Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome everyone to the first Social Equity Servicing Corporation Governance Committee meeting. It is a video conference held among, I think it's just Albany and New York City.
Janice is here in our Buffalo office as well.
Yes, good. So we have Buffalo. Hello, Janice.
Hello.
Welcome committee members. I'd like to turn to Sarah Richards to read the roll.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is the first of several meetings we'll have today, so I'll read the roll once and then note if any folks drop off or join us for the subsequent meetings. We'll run them sequentially and stop recording in between each of the governance committee meetings. So joining us for this governance committee meeting of the Social Equity Servicing Corporation, we have our governance committee chair, Beryl Snyder. Joining Beryl Snyder is Joan Sullivan, committee member, and chair of our board, Al Carney, committee member. We also have with us Christina Coughlin in the Albany office, Jerry Romsky in the New York City office, and Janice McKinney, all board members in the Buffalo office. For staff from DASNY, we have our president, Ruben McDaniel, Paul Koopman, Nadine Fontaine, Kim Ellis, Portia Lee, Ricardo Salomon, Jerry Roulette from our IS department, Matt Bergen, Craig Schreivogel, Steve Kozier, Jenna Flinton, Alex Sardine, Amanda Nazario, and Miriam Barrero. And unless I missed anyone, Madam Chair, that is it for the roll for this meeting.
Oh, wow. What a quite a cast here from all this. The staff has really gone out of their way to be here at the first meeting, and we appreciate it. First, I would like to move to the agenda. And the first order of business is typically reading of the minutes, but since this is the first meeting, no minutes of prior meetings. So we will instead seek to review a review of the bylaws. Sarah, would you make a presentation, please?
Yes, thank you. So staff at this time is recommending that the bylaws for the SESC subsidiary be revised to be consistent with the open meetings law as that law has been revised. Section 3.7 speaks to the ability to hold meetings via video conference. So we have incorporated those recent changes to the open meetings law into the SESC subsidiary bylaws to be consistent with DASNY. And in some, the members can video conference together from one or more locations that are open to members of the public. There are certain situations set forth in the resolutions that would enable members, upon permission from the chair, to participate from a private location if they meet one of the definitions of an extraordinary circumstance, which are things like sickness, disability, religious observance, and the like. In addition to the video conferencing language, there have also been a couple of minor changes to section 4 of the bylaws, which relate to officers and personnel. So section 4.1 sets forth the first and second vice presidents of SESC. And those specify that the vice president of DASNY shall be the first vice president of the subsidiary, and the second vice president shall be the managing director of executive direction of DASNY. In addition to that, section 4.4 has been added into the bylaws, and that would allow for the delegation of certain administrative responsibilities to staff, and that is again consistent with the DASNY bylaws. And that summarizes the changes, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. I think that everyone has had a chance to review these changes to 3.7, 4.1, and 4.4. And they have also been similar to those enacted as it relates to DASNY itself. Are there any questions or comments?
Couple. May I?
Please.
The creation of the offices of first and second vice presidents for SCSC is consistent with what we have done with the other DASNY subsidiaries or not?
It is, yes, it is consistent, and in all cases for the subsidiaries, the first vice president is the vice president of DASNY. For the other two subsidiaries, Atlantic Avenue and NGHP, those bylaws specify that the managing director of public finance and portfolio monitoring shall be the second vice president. And in that case, it's because that position, which currently Portia Lee holds that title, it's her group that manages things like the healthcare restructuring pool loans and manages the relationship with the Department of Health. So given that those two subsidiaries are more in the nature of healthcare related, that seemed appropriate. In the case of SES.
So this is consistent in the sense that with Paul as first vice president and Steve as second, it's what so the second vice president in SCSC is doing what our second vice presidents do.
Right, it's Charlie Williams who would hold that second vice president position. It's the managing director of executive direction, which is the position that Charlie Williams now holds. The revised resolution, Miriam should have printed it out for you, Mr. Chair.
She did. That's why I'm asking the questions. I'm a little bit confused.
Now, in the mailing, there was a typographical error that specified managing director of construction in that section, and the revised version specified that the second vice president is the managing director of executive direction and not construction.
Fine.
Okay, thank you, Al. Very good catch.
Your
I
comment.
appreciate that. Is there any other questions or comments?
Was the intention for Steve? Because that subsidiary does do a lot of the construction work.
That's why I thought it
Why
made
would it
sense.
be not?
Apparently
Why
it
would
doesn't.
it? I don't know,
I'm not clear on why.
For purposes of the execution of 99% of the documents, we will be having, our procurement staff. I have the ability to delegate that authority, similar to how Steve has delegated authority within construction to procurement officers and so forth. So
What role would the other guy, I'm just trying to understand it. What, because I didn't really, the name has just popped in. Like, what's the logic for that, like managing director to be in that subsidiary?
Mr. Romsky, if I might, this is Ruben. Hope you're all doing well. Good to see you today. In the SCSC operations, it is larger than just construction. And we have assigned the managing director of executive direction, who this takes is Charlie Williams, as the senior day-to-day operations person who oversees not just the construction side, but also things like the financing, execution of documents, interaction with the second floor on this portfolio, as well as interaction with the public on the portfolio. So it is broader than just construction, although construction is a good part of it. And so since Charlie and his position are the ones that do the day-to-day work and oversight of the overall program, he was more appropriate than Steve, who does the oversight of the construction part of the portfolio.
I'm not giving Steve more work to do. It just seemed like, from what I understood how the thing worked, there was a lot of construction part of this. There was a lot of build out that maybe it fit better in there, but whatever, but I'm just looking what was in there, and Steve's name was there, and it made sense to me when I read it, but not that this doesn't make sense, but it was, not fully sort of developed, I guess. So I get it. I'm not even on your committee, so I'm good. I just happen to be early, Ruben. I'm sorry.
No. It's an excellent question. Again, I think that it's just, important for us all to understand that on the construction side, they are very involved, but there's also real property, legal, and other things is a bigger program. And quite candidly, on the construction side, while it is a lot of work and energy, these are design build contracts as opposed to bid build contracts. So once they are assigned out to construction folks, it is really in the DB firm. So this is the more appropriate.
May I make a comment that is well intended? Please.
Oh, by all means.
I read the material, I fixed it in my head, I understood it clearly, and it made sense to me. The day of the meeting, we are now dealing with a revision that changes substantially both the operation and my understanding of the operation. No ill intent. I just think that if these changes are gonna be made, they ought to be made with a little bit of prior notice so that people who are not smart, like me, can catch up. That's all.
Well, I also think your point also might be related to the fact that it's the first meeting and we're not 100% certain how it's going to operate, and we want to make sure we understand it and have it the most efficient way possible. So, I mean, if it's not as if it's the Atlantic Avenue Holding Corporation,
And I'm
which
not,
we have been dealing with over the years.
I'm fine with it now that I understand it. I just didn't understand it coming into the meeting.
Fair enough. Okay, I would like nevertheless to have a motion to recommend to the full SESC board for approval of these changes to the bylaws. Do I have a motion?
This is Joan. I make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. Second, the adoption of a mission statement, performance measurements and metrics to quantify performance goals. Sarah, will you tell the governance committee what is being asked of it?
Yes, and I am promptly going to turn it right over to Paul Koopman, who will talk about the and performance measures. As the committee knows, this will be, as a new committee, a new subsidiary rather, this will be the adoption of that document for the first time. So Paul, if you would describe it for us.
Thank you, sir. So Sarah indicated, so consistent with the DASNY guidelines, as well as our other subsidiaries, were required to adopt both the mission statement and performance metrics. The mission statement is consistent with the law that enacted the Social Equity Servicing Corporation and highlights the fact that we're to provide loan servicing, construction management, property management, and related services for social equity licensees. Those services are performed, by SCSC and are consistent again with the law that enacted it. The performance measures and metrics that we have adopted reflect, I would say, are consistent with the services that we're looking to perform, but also I would highlight the fact that these would be ongoing metrics that we're going to be measuring during the course of the year. We're at the initial stage of, we're not measuring anything today. However, we're asking for the governance committee to adopt these measures to be looking at during the course of the year. And as we always do, then report at the end of the year how we're doing against these particular metrics. The first one is related to delivering projects on time, consistent with our DASNY project measures. We're going to be measuring how we're doing against project completion percentages as we issue what we call work orders. We'll be measuring our goal against those contracted timeframes. There'll be a completion date associated with each of the dispensaries, and we'll measure ourselves against that. Similarly, we'll be looking at our program efficiency, and by that we're looking at, in terms of as funding is raised and as funds are available, how quickly are we spending the money? So as money is there, our goal we've established is using at least 75% of available funds to be either committed or expended for these projects. That's a measure of, the efficiency. We've got money available. Are we spending it quickly and executing on that money quickly? And then thirdly, consistent with the loan servicing provisions, we are looking at, how are we doing against the loan collections? Again, we're not there today, but as the dispensaries open, we're in a loan servicing capacity. We have a program established for that. And, our goal as agent for the fund is to ensure that those funds are collected. And we'll be measuring ourselves to ensure that the money is collected appropriately, rents and other expenses associated with the operations of the dispensary. So those three goals are consistent with the services in our mission statement. And we're looking for the governance committee to adopt the metrics for the year. Thank you.
How unique are these? Is the mission statement, the metrics, our goals, how unique are they among the universe of DASNY services that have been performed over the years?
The general services are consistent. I mean, as we indicated on the construction side, we're doing these as design build, very short duration projects. Not like bigger DASNY projects that might go a year. We're talking, you know, months.
Year or more.
Right, exactly, if we're good. So certainly on the construction side, we're just looking at, you know, the metric of how quickly are we building these? Are we getting done on time? Our current DASNY measure is on time and on budget. We thought having, you know, the goal of, you know, the efficiency against money available. That is also consistent in terms of just looking at, you know, how quickly we're moving projects through the pipeline. We don't have this specific measure in DASNY. You know, we get money from a whole bunch of different sources. It really probably is not consistent, but I would say 100%, it's similar to the activities that we're performing, executing on work. And loan servicing is also similar in, you know, we do that for some of the other subsidiaries, you know, sort of quote, collecting money. And really if you look at our trustee services and really the whole portfolio of, are we, you know, collecting debt service payments and so forth. So within our operations, it's that side of it is consistent. Obviously not for, you know, a private entity like this, that is a difference. But the basic fundamental services fit neatly in the DASNY operations between both finance and construction.
Good, I would hope so. It would seem that way to me. Are there any other questions?
I have a question. It's Joan. So Paul, the second metric, there's no time frame for that 75%. So practically speaking, will you have projects ready to go as the funding comes in? Is that how you're going to maintain that 75%?
Our goal is, right, so what we're doing now is we're in the planning stages, you know, as we execute leases, you know, we're sort of looking ahead. And ideally that we're at the point where when we have money available, we're able to then execute on the construction work order. So we're kind of basically staying on top. And then as we look forward to fundraising, we have a kind of a we do have a pipeline of, you know, potential executed leases. Those leases then turn into construction projects. So we're constantly looking ahead. And the idea is once that money's there, make sure we're in a position to execute, you know, on the program as enacted. And, you know, our legal department, Nadine's been doing a fantastic job keeping up and moving ahead, you know, on the lease side. We've got the program planning folks and construction already looking ahead. Okay, what work orders can we issue for construction in the future? So we think when we get to year end, you know, ideally, you know, when we talk about the metric come next March or, you know, next meeting is for the end of the year, we want to be at the position that we've had money and it's being utilized. We don't have money sitting there not being effectively utilized.
Right, thanks.
Remind me, do we do the leases in-house or we've been doing with, we have outside counsel?
We have outside counsel assisting, but
I thought so.
in-house counsel is doing it.
No, I get it.
As well as our real property division and
Okay, are there any other questions? If not, I would like to see if someone will make a motion to recommend to the full SESC board for approval tomorrow's meeting, the mission statement, performance metrics and measures, and to quantify performance goals. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it what you said.
Whatever that was. Do
Very
I have
well,
a
make a
second?
motion.
Okay, thank you, Joan, second, and all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? And I think that is the last matter for the committee. I'd like a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
I'd like to make a motion.
Second, great. All in favor, yes. Thank you so much.
Okay, you stop the recording?
We are adjourned.